Hi, my name is Tariq Malouf and I'm the founder of the Hummingbird Bakery in London. So today in this video, I'm going to show you how to make tomato soup cupcakes. Yes, that's right, tomato soup. For the full recipe, check the links in the description below. Now, you probably know this, but Americans love using every last item in their store cupboard as a baking ingredient, and this recipe is absolutely no exception. So it kind of makes sense that tomato soup would be a good baking ingredient. Tomatoes are a fruit, they have a good sugar content, and because they're in soup form here, they're going to add a lot of moisture to the sponge, which is exactly what we're looking for. Now these cupcakes are going to taste great, and nobody is going to know that you've put tomato soup in them. People are going to be begging to know what your secret is, and that's perfect for us home bakers because we like to impress the people who are going to be eating our goodies. Okay, let's start. Let's preheat the oven to 175 degrees. Line your tins with muffin cases. These hold way more than fairy cake cases, and they're going to give you a cupcake that's up to American proportions, which is what we want. And afterwards, you can smother them in cream cheese frosting. So throw your butter and sugar in together. The butter should be soft and at room temperature when making cakes. Actually, all wet ingredients should be at room temperature unless your recipe specifically tells you otherwise. I'm using a freestanding mixer with the paddle attachment, but you can also use an electric whisk if you want. So you probably already know this, but if your recipe asks you to cream together the butter and sugar, this is it. You're going to need at least 5 minutes on a medium to high speed to get a lot of air in, and that's exactly what's going to make it light and fluffy, and that's what you're looking for. So here I've got 2 large free-range eggs, which is the same as what we'd use in one of the bakeries. We're going to keep the mixer running and add the eggs into the bowl gradually, one at a time, but don't overbeat, just until the eggs look incorporated. At this point, the mixture can look like it's curdled, but it hasn't, so don't worry. And when the flour is added, it's going to come together again smoothly. So it's good at this stage to turn off the mixer and scrape down the sides of the bowl and just get right down to the bottom, making sure that all the ingredients are mixed in. Now that the eggs are added, we can get started on the dry ingredients. In a separate bowl, add 270 grams of plain flour. So because we're going to be adding a whole can of tomato soup to the mixture in a bit, we're going to need the big guns when it comes to raising agents. Now tomatoes are acidic, so the bicarb is going to be activated by that, but it's not going to be enough, so we're going to add baking powder too. Add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. So now it's time to add in the spice. Tomatoes work really well with spices, and these are going to give it a carrot cake vibe. Sprinkle in 1½ teaspoons of ground allspice, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and ½ a teaspoon of ground cloves. Give it a quick stir with a spoon just to get things going. Now turn your mixer onto low, and we'll tip all of this dry mixture into the wet mixture in one go. Now there's no reason to overbeat this, otherwise you're going to get something really heavy and bready, and that's definitely something we don't want. Last but not least, add 60 ml of water and a 295 tin of condensed cream of tomato soup. This batter is kind of thick, but it's going to bake up beautifully. And now we're ready to bake. Scoop the mixture out into the cases. We use food portioners in our bakeries. A 50 ml one is ideal if you can find one. This helps you to get an even amount of mixture in each case, so your cupcakes will come out the same size. And everybody's going to wonder how you got them looking so perfect. It's a sneaky little trick. These are going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. You'll know when they're ready when you insert a metal skewer into the middle of one of them and it comes out cleanly. Or if you press lightly on the top, it's going to spring back immediately. Once they're out of the oven, give them some time to relax in their tins, and then you can turn them out into a wire rack to cool down completely. Now that the cakes are baking, we can make the frosting. This recipe calls for cream cheese frosting, which is the exact same one that we use at our bakeries for the red velvet cakes and the carrot cakes. It's sweet and creamy and has a slight tart tang to it, so it's going to be perfect with the spiced sponge cakes. To make the frosting, beat 110 grams of softened unsalted butter with the paddle attachment. Once you've let it loosen up a bit, add 240 grams of full-fat cream cheese, such as Philadelphia, and 400 grams of sifted icing sugar. So as you saw, I took the cream cheese directly out of the fridge before using it. I recommend keeping your cream cheese really cold so that it won't split and go runny. Once you've mixed all the ingredients in together, about 3 minutes on a high speed tops, otherwise it really will split. Now to frost the cupcakes. Remember, never attempt to frost a hot cupcake. It's going to end in tears and a lot of melted frosting all over your kitchen. As you can see, I'm using a palette knife to frost these cupcakes, but you can use a piping bag if you want. But I'm personally OCD about this. I like to make sure every inch of sponge is covered by frosting, which keeps the sponge nice and moist. Boop. After I finish frosting, I'm gonna decorate them with a little more cinnamon. Now dig into that sponge and tell me it's not absolutely delicious. You'd never know the secret ingredient was tomato soup. I know you're gonna be brave enough to try this at home, so please tweet a picture at Hummingbee Bakery or post it on our Facebook page and subscribe for more videos.